So as a content creator, sound quality is actually more important than video quality. People can deal with bad video to be able to watch good content, but people will skip good content because of bad audio quality. So obviously, audio gear should be a main priority for content creators, but finding the best audio solution at an affordable price can be difficult, especially when you're first starting out and you're looking at a lot of options and trying to see what's going to work best with your setup and probably looking for something that can grow with you. So today we're going to look at an option for that, and that is the Xvive U6 Wireless Mic. We're gonna look at what is the value and quality for this price point, what do you get with that, how does it stack up to the other options, and might it be the right one for you? All right, so quickly before we get started, a little disclaimer. Xvive did send me this U6 wireless mic for the purposes of making a review, but having said that, I did not get paid. Xvive has no say in this content, and all of the opinions in this video are my own. So, build quality and ergonomics, the first thing that sticks out is the size of this whole setup. So it's really small, really light, really compact. It's really easy to just throw into your camera bag, even in just a zip pouch or something like that within your camera bag. It's also really easy to clip on your clothes or something without being super conspicuous and small on top of your camera. So the whole setup remains inconspicuous with this mic. So the transmitter unit has a built-in mic, and that has some positives and negatives. Positive is that you don't have any extra wires, everything's all together in one setup. It's really quick for if you're doing some run and gun stuff, or if you're just a content creator who's making content primarily on the go. It's really fast and small and easy to just hook on you and get going. On the negative side though, it doesn't have any option to plug in an external mic, a lavalier mic or anything like that. So trying to hide the entire transmitter unit versus just hiding a lapel mic can be a little bit more difficult. It's obviously going to be a little bulkier and larger than a small lavalier mic. Having said that, it is very small for a transmitter unit, and it does come with a hook and loop system included. It is pretty easy to hide depending on what type of clothing you're working with on your subject. It's not going to be as easy as hiding a lavalier mic still, but it shouldn't be a problem in most cases. But if you are on the go creating content and a content creator that just wants to have something to throw on real quick and go, I think the included clip to just clip this mic onto a shirt or something is probably the best way to go. The controls here are very simple and straightforward. On the receiver pack, you have two buttons. One button is going to be the power button as well as the channel switch button. So you have 4 channels on both the receiver and transmitter, and you can switch between those manually, which is really nice if you're on a location and you're getting interference, or it's a busy location with other people using wireless channels, something like that. It's nice to be able to choose between at least those 4 manually. And then the second button on the receiver pack is the decibel control button, and you have 3 decibel level settings with this, a 0, -10, and -20. So that gives you a decent amount of freedom to work with different preamps. Some preamps are going to be, even at their lowest setting, higher than others, especially if you're using in-camera preamps. So that should give you enough flexibility to figure out what's going to work best for your situation. Other than buttons on the receiver unit, we also have a 1/4-inch output, and it comes with a 1/4-inch TRS cable as well as TRRS adapters. So the TRS cable is going to be for plugging straight into like your mirrorless camera or DSLR, and then a TRRS cable for plugging into your smartphone or something like that. It does not have any XLR cables, which is a little disappointing, but really it's just not aimed at a more high-end professional production use. It's aimed, I would say, very specifically at content creators and that kind of usage. So it's not surprising that there isn't any XLR connections with this. And if you really want that or need that, it should be possible to find an XLR adapter and use it in that way if you need to. The receiver unit also has a charging port on it, and while we're talking about charging with this, it does come with a charging cable that is able to hook into and charge both the receiver and the transmitter at the same time, which I think is really nice. It's really convenient that they have a solution to be able to charge them both at the same time and not have to charge one and then the other, or find two cables and plug them into two different outlets. This all-in-one outlet, you can charge both at the same time. However, it does not come with a charging block, which that's becoming pretty common in these type of accessories, especially in this price range. It keeps the price down. Most of us probably have a USB charging block or several like I do, but if you don't, that is something to note, that is going to be something that you'll have to find somewhere else. And then lastly, on the body of the receiver unit, it has a built-in clip if you're needing to clip it onto a camera strap or something like that, but it also fits directly into the hot shoe, which is, I think, how most people are probably going to be using this. And it is a tight fit, and I don't have any worry that the receiver is going to fall out of a cold shoe or hot shoe or anything, but there is no locking mechanism. So again, I don't think it's going to fall out, but just so you're aware. So in the transmitter unit, we just have one button, and that is going to be both the power on off button as well as the channel select button. Again, we have 4 channels to choose from. Then we also are going to have obviously the mic capsule on this unit. And around that is the mounting mechanism for the included windscreen. And that windscreen actually locks into place on that mount, and it stays on there really well. I wouldn't be worried about the wind blowing it off or something like that. We also have a charging port, mounting points for the included clip to clip that onto clothing or something, and also points to put and use the included hook and loop system as well. So both units also have a display screen that will show you what channel you're using, and on the receiver unit also what your decibel level settings are. And both of the screens are very nice. They're easy to look at quickly and see exactly what your settings are, and make it very nice and easy to use, especially while you're filming or on the go. And I think that is the story of these wireless mic system, is that it is made for content creators, someone who's on the go, someone who travels and doesn't necessarily want to have an entire production studio in their camera bag, or someone who just makes content and doesn't want to haul around a huge amount of gear the whole time. I mean, I think the fact that it comes with the included TRRS adapter so that you can use it not just with a mirrorless or DSLR camera, but also with your smartphone. The fact that it has inbuilt batteries, so you're not carrying extra batteries and stuff in your camera bag or whatever you're using to carry your stuff around. I think all of that, as well as the inbuilt microphone, not having to attach an external lavalier mic or something like that, just makes it really great for the use case of a on-the-go content creator. But aside from all the features and build, which I am pretty impressed with so far and like for what it is, we need to have good audio. So let's do some tests of the audio quality. Okay, so this is going to be just a quick audio comparison between the Xvive U6 wireless mic setup and what I typically use in this situation, which is a XLR condenser pencil mic that is going straight into my C100. So you can obviously not see that because I have that mounted just out of frame. That's what I usually use in this type of situation, and that's how I usually use it. This distance and everything is how I would typically have my audio set up for these types of videos, particularly for YouTube and stuff. And then on the other hand, right now you probably can see the clip from this Xvive mic. Now I didn't do the hook and loop system to try to hide it. I just clipped it on here really quickly. And so you can see that clip here, and that is going to let us compare the audio from this Xvive mic as well as the XLR mic that I would typically use in this situation, so that we can get a good comparison of the audio quality. Now I haven't really sat down yet and listened to the audio through headphones or anything like that from this Xvive mic, so I'm excited, or interested at least, to see what that quality is and what that sounds like, because there is no ability with this to hook in an external lavalier mic and use that mic audio. So we are stuck with this audio quality. Whether that is a good thing or a bad thing, we're going to check out and see. Alright, so this is just an outdoor test of the audio quality with this windscreen one that's included. So it's a big furry windscreen. There's not a ton of wind right now, but there's a little bit of breeze going pretty steadily. So it should definitely cut that wind noise out and hopefully not muffle my voice too much. One thing about this windscreen is that it is pretty large, and right now I just have it clipped on my shirt again. You could do the hook and loop system, but even with that, I think it's going to be relatively difficult to hide this in any clothing with this windscreen attached, but that's just kind of part of the situation when you use a windscreen on a lavalier setup like this. So this is a quick audio test with the U6 connected to, right now I have it connected to my iPhone. That's what you're seeing the video on. That's why the difference in video quality as well. And a couple things to point out with this, a couple things to think about is, one, the cable situation when you're going specifically to an iPhone is a little bit convoluted, because you have, like I have right now, the receiver has the TRS cable connected directly to it. That is connected then to the TRS to TRRS adapter, which for iPhone is then connected to the TRRS to lightning cable adapter to then plug into the iPhone itself, because iPhones don't have any headphone/TRRS jack built into the phones themselves anymore. You have to use the lightning port. So because of that, it's a little bit convoluted. I would not say it's all that bad, and you're gonna have to do that with any mic that you use with an iPhone. Altogether, it's less than a foot of cable. It's not super cumbersome. I don't think it's gonna get in the way or anything like that, but something to be aware of. Another thing is that I did have to change the decibel level for using it with the iPhone to -10. That's where I'm using it right now. It is possible that -20 would potentially be even necessary, especially if you're talking louder or you just have a louder voice than me, or talk at a higher level or something like that. But when I had it set to 0, which is what I was using with my EOS R6 and EOS R from Canon, I had the volume level at 0. And with the iPhone, I have had to take the volume or the decibel level down to -10. So again, it is nice that that is included and you're able to do that, but you will have to think about that when you're testing the volume level with your smartphone setup. So I wanted to do a range test with this wireless mic setup, and you might not be surprised to notice that I am in a coffee shop to do this. That's just where I feel at home. So this is me about 6 feet, maybe a little bit less from the camera, and I'm certain that at this distance it is working without any problems, but we'll see. This is me facing the camera, and then now me at this distance facing away from the camera. So I'm going to set the camera up slightly different now to test the range a little bit better so that you can see me a little bit better. But part of this test is actually going to be that I'm going to go into different rooms, through walls, and see how the range on this works when I'm not within direct line of sight of the camera, going through walls and that sort of thing, to kind of put it through its paces a little bit. So now I'm something like 30 feet from the camera, maybe a little bit less, but certainly have some distance between me and the camera, and this is me facing the camera and talking at this distance, and now facing away from the camera and again talking at this distance, so that you can see if having even my body in the way will make a difference in how well the audio is picked up. All right, so now at this distance, I'm about probably 15 yards from the camera. I'm facing in the direction of the camera, but I am behind a wall at this point. So this is facing the camera, and this is facing away from the camera. This is going to be a more difficult test of how well the transmission works on this setup because of the distance and also having physical obstacles in the way. So I'm going to keep going. Now I am 30 yards roundabout away from the camera, and I am through several walls, one of them a brick wall. And if this is still picking up relatively well, that's pretty good results. This is quite the stress test for this type of setup. I'm facing towards the camera now, and now I'm going to turn away. And again, 30 yards away, several walls in between, and facing away from the camera. This is quite a stress test. Like I said, I don't really think that this type of setup is made to work in this environment, but this is certainly the limits of what I would think you would put a wireless mic like this through. So after looking at the results of the audio quality test, I'm actually very impressed, and I will say that I'm not a fan in general of the type of audio quality that you get from lavalier and clip-on style mics like this. I do recognize though that they are very useful, and there are definitely situations where they are just the right choice to use as far as mic choice goes. And having said that, again, taking into account the style of mic that this is, and especially for the budget that it's coming in at, I am very happy with the audio quality that comes from these U6 mics. As far as the wireless range with this mic set, I think it is very acceptable for applications that it's aimed at. Realistically, in practice, you're going to be able to get about 15 to 20 yards from the camera. I think that is very acceptable for what it's aimed at, meaning it's not going to be for projects where you are recording audio over longer distances. I don't think that's what it's designed for anyway. It will mean though that that's probably not going to be the best option for instance, wedding shooters if you're filming and trying to get audio across a larger auditorium or something like that. But again, for the on-the-go content creator that I think this is primarily aimed at, I think that is well within the kind of standards of what you would expect from this. And honestly, overall, I'm really impressed with this, and I think I would probably suggest this U6 mic now over even a budget on-camera shotgun mic for most content creators, assuming that you are a single person making the content and you're either doing talking heads, something like this mostly, or at least something where you're talking to camera for the primary part of your content. In that situation, considering this price and the audio quality and just the size and portability of this audio setup, I think it's easily the best option for a lot of content creators in that situation, and I think probably better audio quality even than you would get from something like a budget on-camera shotgun mic. And actually, let's go ahead and test that out. Alright, so this is an audio quality comparison between the Rode VideoMicro, which I have attached to this camera up here, onboard camera, which is pretty commonly going to be the way you would use a mic like this. The Rode VideoMicro is cheaper than something like this Xvive U6, but potentially, I mean, this is something that you're going to hook onto yourself, so the mic's going to be a little closer, whereas this mic you're going to have either on top of the camera or potentially on a boom stand, I mean, or something, but typically most of the time this mic is not something you're going to be able to get as close in the frame as this wireless mic. So this is a test of audio quality between quickly the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, which is about twice the price of this wireless mic setup, and then of course the Xvive U6, which I have here. So I have both cameras in frame right now, the Rode mic here obviously, and the wireless mic here clipped onto my shirt. And like I said, just a quick sound audio test to see what the difference is in what you'll get. So in the end, who is this wireless mic system for? And I think that it's easy to recommend to a lot of content creators. Like I was saying earlier, I think for someone who is a content creator who is primarily talking to the camera, you're just one creator in the videos, at least by yourself, and you are looking for a budget mic system, this is probably going to be my favorite recommendation for that. So I do think there are going to be some obvious comparisons to this U6 wireless mic system and the Rode Wireless Go and Wireless Go 2 systems. And there's a few things that I would point out or say to think about there. One is that this system is cheaper. It's also smaller and more portable. I also think that realistically, it's less conspicuous than the Wireless Go when you're at least using the Wireless Go's transmitter pack as with the built-in mic. Again, it's smaller, it's thinner, and the clip is also much thinner. It isn't that big fat plastic thing with the big logo on it. I haven't done any side-by-side audio tests because I don't use the Wireless Go or Wireless Go 2 systems personally, but I am confident that the audio quality in this U6 would at least hold up to the audio quality of the Wireless Go systems. Now, there are also some drawbacks to this compared to the Wireless Go system. And one is that you cannot use any external lavalier mics or any other external mics with this system. And for what it's aimed at, again, the primary audience for this, I don't think that's a big deal. The built-in mic in this U6 is very solid, and I don't think most people that are looking at this option are going to need to upgrade to a different mic, but you can't upgrade to a different mic. So that is something to keep in mind. There is also no internal recording like the Go 2 system has. Again, this is not going to be the best option for someone who is trying to record audio on someone who is farther away from the camera. I do think this could also be used in specific situations as part of a documentary gear setup for shooting documentaries, but again, in specific settings. So probably specifically if you are trying to be very inconspicuous and film some footage documentary style on a DSLR or mirrorless camera to not draw attention to what you're doing. The small size and form factor of this is going to keep that setup inconspicuous, but again, you aren't going to be able to be very far from your subject, more than I would say 15 feet to be safe. You also need to have direct line of sight to your subject, and it's definitely not going to be what you want to rely on for the main audio source for your documentary, because while the internal battery does seem to be good, it seems to be able to last for several hours. Once that battery dies, you can't replace it, and you just have to sit and wait for it to recharge. For a content creator, I think that's not a big deal, but on documentary long shoots, that can definitely be a big deal. So it's not going to be something that you would want to have as your main audio option on documentary set, but again, just for those maybe few shots where you want to be really inconspicuous with a really small setup. So for me personally, again, if you can't tell, I'm really impressed with this mic setup for what it is. It is a small wireless system, good audio quality, easy to use, and it's going to be now the audio solution that I just keep in my camera bag because it's so easy and convenient and portable. But anyway, I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. In the comments below, let me know, what do you think about this audio solution? Have you used this, and how do you think it stacks up against other audio solutions in this price range specifically? If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button. If you are interested in getting this wireless mic system or any of the other products and gear that I've mentioned in this video, in the description below I will have affiliate links. If you purchase through those links at no extra cost to you, it'll help support this channel so that I continue making these videos for you guys. Thanks, see ya.
You gotta focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind, on your health, yeah. You gotta work, never tell, keep your head down, find what you love and excel, yeah. Push and pull and repel any hate, go create what you want, feel compelled, yeah.